it will cover from chapter 1 to chapter 4. So it's really not that much stuff. Okay? But it covers everything I talk about in class. Everything. Okay? Almost every lecture will be on the exam. Every lecture. But that documentary will not be on the exam. So you don't have to worry about documentary. But everything else will be on the exam. Okay? Okay. So the plan today is, so last class we finished the one scenario, right? Okay, we finished the scenario when the tax is imposed on the producer. So we know in that case, the supply curve is going to shift to the left or shift to the right. When the producer have to pay tax, the supply curve is going to be affected, and they're going to shift to left. Okay? Whenever supply is going to decrease, then supply is going to shift to the left. Okay. And we talk about how do we calculate consumer surplus, how do we calculate producer surplus, and which area is the government's revenue, and which is debt loss, right? So this is one scenario we talk about. And we calculate what is debt loss and what is government's revenue. And at the end of class, I ask you to do the other scenario when the tax is imposed on the consumer. So now consumer has to pay $1.50 for each unit they buy. Okay. So now it's demand that is affected. How does demand shift? Left or right? Left or right? Left. Always left. Why? Because it decreased. It's decreased the demand. It's always left. Okay? So did you guys work on it after this? Has anyone you worked on that case? You go home? No? You're just waiting for me to do it? Okay. I'm going to lead you through it because I'm going to put this on the test, but I won't tell you which case, which scenario will be. So it's either on the producer or on the consumer. Okay. Okay, to find the equilibrium point, I think everybody knows how to do that, right? From the demand and supply schedule. You just find the market price where supply is equal to the demand, right? I don't need to go over that, right? Everybody get that? Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Some people are not in the class. So if you're not in the class last time, you need to go to the itunes.uncp.edu. The lectures are recorded. So you watch that one. Okay? Several of you are not here. I remember the faces. Okay? Alright, so remember this is on the consumer. So if it's on consumer, we know the demand is going to shift this way. Okay? So again, you have in the exam, okay, everything I say here, you should write it down because if you do exactly the way it is, you're going to lose the point. You have to mark, where is this $1.50? Is this horizontal shift, or is vertical shift, or diagonal shift? The demand shifted this way here, right? So where do you mark that $1.50? You guys remember where do you mark it on the supply? Is it which shift? What is the shift on the supply when we did it for the other scenario? Okay, so how did we say where the shift?
From the old power to the new one.
So it is vertical shift. So it's this. you mark this is $1.50. You have to do that. So I know, you know the supply curve has shifted up by $1.50. So I'm asking you the same thing, where's the shift?
Same thing.
It's what?
Same thing.
It's same thing, it's a vertical shift. It's a vertical shift as well. Okay, why? Because now for the consumer, and for the same quantity, they are willing to pay $1.50 less. So the corresponding price for the consumer is going to be $1.50 less. So they're willing to pay $1.50 less than the original price. So for each point along the demand curve, it's going to shift down by $1.50. And that tells you that the price they're willing to pay is going to be $1.50 less, right? Because they have to pay a government $1.50. So is everyone with me here? Okay. So now the next thing we're going to do is we need to figure out this. The new equilibrium price and new equilibrium quantity. How do we figure that out? And we need to use the figures, the schedules. How do we adjust the schedule? Josh, do you remember how do we adjust the schedule? Anybody remember how do we adjust the schedule?
Don't you subtract 150 from the demand, the supply?
Okay, so I cannot hear you.
Don't
Louder.
you subtract 150 from the supply?
Subtract 150 cents, okay, from that list of the price, right? And then you created, in a sense, you created a new set of the price, right? And you match that new set of price with what? With quantity demanded or with quantity supplied?
And
Great. Okay, did everyone hear what he said? Okay, so you use original schedule. You have to do this, practice at home, okay? You use original schedule, you create a new list of price. This new list of price is going to be $1.50 less than the original list. Okay, then create that list. You put that aside. Okay, and you know these new prices match the quantity demanded. Okay, so if I were you, I'm going to do this. Okay, for this thing, you have this the original price, right? This is the original quantity. This is the original demand. You have this here. And then you create this new price. And this new price is going to be $1.50 less than this. So you deduct $1.50, then you have this new number. Okay, after you create this is just next to the demand, right? You put them in the box. This way you're clear. Why this is clear? You tell yourself this is the supply curve. And this is our new demand curve. Then you're trying to look at the two boxes, find which price will give you the same quantity demanded and quantity supplied. It's everybody clear? Okay, you guys definitely know how to do this, right? Okay, so I want you to do this, you home, practice this, okay? So after that, after you do this, then you're able to write down what is value here, what is value here. And so while you're doing this question, you have to have this graph accompanying, you know, the calculation. You put this graph right next to it. You draw this. As you figure out the value, then you put it right into here. I really hope some of you can remember everything, because I don't see every one of you is taking note. If you miss anything, you're going to lose a point. You miss this, you lose a point. You did not write down this, you're going to lose a point. Okay? So I really recommend you, because you may remember everything now, but you have so many classes, you're going to forget later. Okay. So after do this, and the question I'm going to ask you is, what is government's revenue, and what is deadweight loss? And I want you to show it on the graph, and also show it mathematically. Okay. Government's revenue and deadweight loss. Okay. To do that, we have to figure out the consumer surplus and the producer surplus. Can you guys tell me, after demand shifted here, which area represent consumer surplus? After your demand is shifted to a new place, which area represent consumer surplus now?
P1 up.
Huh?
From P1 up.
From here? Is it from here?
Mm-hmm.
To where?
Up.
Up?
Yeah,
Here?
that triangle.
Right? Where about producer surplus? But is this the social welfare? No. Because there is a government revenue, and we have to add government revenue into this picture. Okay. So how do we find the area represent government's revenue? Remember we did a manipulation of the graph for the first scenario? Okay, basically we shifted one triangle down. We shifted that producer surplus diagonal down. But now what do we do? To empty the area which represent government revenue. If we want to empty out the area which represent government revenue, how should we shift the triangle?
You can shift the consumer surplus
Uh-huh.
to the top triangle.
Very good. So you're going to do the same thing. You draw a straight line from this new equilibrium quantity, and you'll find this point here, right? And then what you're going to do is you draw another line here. And you're going to use this triangle instead of this one. And this one and this one, they are identical. Can you guys see it? Do you know which two triangles I'm talking about? Originally it's this, right? It's this. So I move this up to here. I recommend you to practice this graph at least 5 times when you go home. Why? It's probably easy to see, but when you do it yourself, it's totally different story. Practice 5 times until you totally understand the intricacy in this graph, the relationship.
Are you gonna have us? I'm sorry, not this.
It's okay.
But are you gonna have us like shade everything in on the?
Yes, so I would like you to just show me the government revenue and debt loss area. So if you shade each area, let me know this area represents what. Yeah, you don't have to shade everything. So what we did is we moved this triangle up here. And then we have an area in between, right? Which area is in between? is rectangle. How do we compute the area of this rectangle? Rectangle, how do we compute the area of rectangle? Height multiply base, that's it, right? Do we have the base value? It is a new quantity, right? Do we have the height of this rectangle? Do we have the height?
Yeah.
What is height? 50 cents. That's right. So this is the distance between the original demand and the new demand. It's just $1.50. So you have the height and you have this quantity and that is area. And if you look at this thing, this is the quantity traded after tax being imposed, multiply the tax per unit. So this is how much government collects. This is government's gain from imposing the tax. So if you sell 30 units, and government's revenue is 30 units multiplied $1.50. That's government's revenue. So this is government's revenue. Okay.
So, because I mean, I follow everything
Mm-hmm.
except for why do we go back up? Like, because we kind of went back to when we did the producer one. That's the exact same way that we found the government version of that
That's
one.
right.
But it's like you didn't use the tax change, like you have the change going down. So
Yeah,
I'm
in the first scenario, we shifted the producer surplus triangle down.
uh-huh.
In this case, we shifted the consumer surplus area up. Okay, so let's do it here. Okay, look at here. This is your new consumer surplus, new producer surplus, right? Okay, so we're doing the same thing. We're going to draw a straight line. This is our original equilibrium. This is our new equilibrium quantity. You draw a straight line, then you find this point, and then you draw another horizontal line. Then you're going to shift this triangle down to here. Then now you have this space empty. So in this case, you shift the producer area down, and in this case, you shift the consumer surplus area up. But the purpose is same. You want to create this space in the middle, which represents government's revenue. How about this small triangle here? What is it? Deadweight loss. And how do we calculate the area represent deadweight loss? Half multiply this, right? Half multiply, what is this from here to here? It's $1.50. Then we have to multiply the height. What is here? From here to here. It's this, right? It's the difference of the two quantities. You guys see that? So half multiply this and multiply height. Once you have two quantities, and this is Q star minus Q star prime, the difference of the two quantities. And I will leave a question to you to answer yourself while you finish both. One case, the tax is on producer. The other case is tax on consumer. But the tax amount is the same, $1.50. I want you to answer this question. Does this make any difference on the total social welfare? That's the question I want you to answer. Does this make a difference on the total social welfare? If the tax on the producer, would the social welfare be higher or lower or the same? Compared with the taxes on consumer. You guys understand my question? What is your guess?
Same.
He said the same. Do you agree with him? You find out yourself by doing this calculation yourself. Okay? And I want you to not only answer it whether it's going to same or not, and also explain. Use your own words and understanding. Tell me why they're the same or why they're not the same. That's really a very, very deep and critical question to answer. And this question accounts for 20%. That's a lot. So you know what will be on there. So I'm going to stop here on this question. Any question on this one? If you do not have question, I'm going to move on to other stuff.
Are we gonna go over the last question? You just asked us?
Last question?
Yeah, about the tax. Are we gonna go over that?
Which question are you talking about?
When you said this tax on the producer, would it be the same or not the same? Are we gonna
No, I'm not going to answer that. This is for you to answer. You have to calculate to see whether they are the same or not. I already tell you pretty much everything, okay? And what's left for you to do is to do it yourself and really put those numbers in and you will see. Okay. If you did it yourself, the one who want me to take a look, I will. But but this is your job to do it yourself. Okay, I cannot give every detailed answer to you. Already give you the question, then you need to study. Okay, but work on yourself. If you come out answer you want me to check, I'll do that. Any other question on this one? Do you think you guys can handle this one? If not, practice. Watch the videos. I mean, all these lectures are recorded. Watch 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Come to my office hour. Tutor, we'll have tutor before Friday. Utilize all these resources. Okay. I think each exam counts for 25%, right? I think that's what stated on the syllabus. 25%. So if you miss this exam, you're definitely not going to pass this class. So you don't want to miss that, okay? But if you do not do too well, and you're going to have a lot of pressure in the next 2 exams. Okay, so let's move on to other stuff. Another 20% question will be a question also on the supply and demand. On supply and demand. But there's no calculation involved. What I'm going to ask you is give you a situation, and I want you to identify in that situation whether supply or demand are going to shift and how it's going to shift. And you draw the graph, show me the new equilibrium point. Why are some of you not too concerned about this exam same side? ask me questions. You know, we have a lot of people asking questions today, that's great. I see, you know, you guys really work on this, you want to get it.
Well, how many questions are there gonna be on it?
Well, I'm not there yet, not there yet. I'm just telling you what are the big percentage questions. Okay, so what did I just say? 20% on what? 20% on
Supply and
drawing graph of supply and demand based on the situation here. Okay. And the example, the situation I'm going to use is just Obama stimulus package. Obama stimulus package around 2009, 2010. Obama had some stimulus package. Do you guys remember what are those packages? Do you guys remember those couple years? You guys not really. Those are a lot of credit. Okay, I can tell you one of them. If you a new homeowner, I think you're going to get either $6,000 or $8,000 credit on your first home purchase. That's one of the Obama stimulus package. And also another one I remember is every person get a paycheck, get a tax refund from the government. I think it's $600 or $800 each person get. You guys did not remember any of that? I mean, your parents did not tell you they get a refund from the government for $600 or $800. I mean, this is really important stuff in your daily life, credit. Another credit is if you buy a hybrid car, you're going to get some tax credit, which is $7,000. You guys did not remember any of that. You see, you could utilize those credits then if you knew about it. Huh?
So you're talking about 2009?
Around 2009, 2010, Yeah, so about 4 years ago, when those credits, yeah. I bought my house in 2012, no longer, that credit is not for the new homeowner credit is not there anymore. I think that credit lasted for a couple of years, yeah. So that's the Obama stimulus package, okay. I may put several of those packages there and ask you, how this stimulus package influence either demand or supply? And then you use a graph to show it to you. It's not a really tricky question. The point of using this is make you really understand how you're going to apply the supply demand concept in real life. And I think another one is, I can tell you, is unemployment benefit. I think, those couple of years, Obama extended. Originally, unemployment benefit, I think, is a year, 12 months. You can get unemployment, if even you're unemployed, you will get this stipend and from government for a year. I think during those couple of years, they extended longer. So you can receive a longer benefit, longer time. So those are the policy that stimulate either demand or the supply. And I want you to identify which one is that policy is target to. Am I clear on this to you? Okay. Again, this is not a really hard question at all. This 20% you should all get full credits. But you have to practice yourself. I just give you a couple packages. You go home, Google the other packages and practice yourself. In this class, the exam is not hard, but it does show whether you have studied or not. If you study it, you can easily get above 80. But if you don't, you can easily get below 60. That's the nature of this exam. It shows how much you work on it. So this is 20%. And another 20% question is from chapter 2. and from the PPF. One person economy and two people economy. So what did we learn there? We learned the production possibility from here. We learned the comparative advantage, absolute advantage. We learned the specialization, and we learned how do we figure out, the price of trade, right? We did on a quiz, and you guys did a great job on the quiz, in that question. So you should expect another question just like that. I have the rest of the quiz. If you have not picked it up, and work on that question. Expect another question just like that. So I will give you two people or two economy, and I will ask you what is the opportunity cost of producing this by each of one of them. I will ask you to draw the PPF. You need to know, are you going to give me this? Are you going to give me this? Or you're going to give me this? And so that's the two different shape of PPF, right? And one shows that the opportunity cost remain the same. The other one shows the opportunity cost increases. So from the question, identify whether it's that or that when you draw it. Because if you do that part wrong, the shape is wrong, you're going to lose some credit. And then I will ask you a question about opportunity cost. Opportunity cost of each production. I almost want to take notes for you.
I took a bunch of notes. I'm just lost. I don't get it. It's not clicking.
It's not clear.
Yeah. I took a lot of notes. Take notes.
But everything I say is going to be on the exam. So if you're not catching up right now, go home, watch this video again, and take the notes. Because you don't write it down, it's not going to stick in your head. It's just going to go through you. I was a student for many, many years. I know, what works, what does not. Writing everything down. Okay, so after I asked you this, and asked you the opportunity cost, then I asked you how should they specialize? Specialization. Okay. How do you determine the specialization, guys? Two advantages. Remember, I create this box. This is Colin. This is Tom. This is fish. This is coconut. Then I see where should I put the comparative advantage and the absolute advantage in. The box, which has no advantage, should be 0, right? That production should be 0. Do you guys remember that, how we did that? Did everyone know what I'm talking about? Okay, so in order to figure out specialization, and that's what you're going to do. You're going to create a box, and you're going to put the comparative and absolute advantage in the appropriate place. The which box, the empty one, is going to have 0 production. And that's what I'm expecting on the exam. If you don't give me that box, then the explanation is not there, and you're going to lose credit. Give me the box. So question on this. Okay, then the last one would be the price of trade. How do you determine the price of trade? We go over this a lot. So the formula is, there is a upper bound and there is a lower bound, right? How do we find the lower and upper bound of this price of exchange? You guys remember? Slope of the PPF. Okay, you draw the PPF and you find the slope, and that should be here. Okay, of course, this price of exchange should be vertical good divided by the number of horizontal goods, and this is the price we're talking about here, price of trade. Then the lower and upper bound is the slope of the two. I will be looking for that range, so which means you're going to give me that upper and lower bound. This question, 20%. So far, much percentage we have? How much? 60. We have 3 questions. Each count for 20%, so 60%. So 60% covers chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 5. But we have not talked about, how about chapter 1? Chapter 1 will be on the first 40%. The first 40% are multiple choice questions. They're going to ask you a lot of definition questions, fundamental concept questions. First concept, I'm going to test you is what? What is the very first concept I talked to you?
Opportunity cost.
Opportunity cost. So that definition is going to be tested. And also I talk about what is economics as the very first class. What is economics? Economics is the study of how individuals make decisions on a daily basis, utilizing the limited resources, right? Definition of economics. And in the first chapter, we talk about 4 different objectives of economic policy. 4 different objectives of economic policy. They are efficiency, equity.
To what?
Equity. The second one is equity. The third one is growth. The third one is sustainability. And you have to know what each one means. Efficiency means use the least amount of resources to produce the most. Equity means what? Fairness. And growth means just gross domestic product increases. And stability means what? Economic growth with low unemployment. That's stability. Another thing from chapter 1 is the different fields in economics. We talk about the 2, macroeconomics and microeconomics. Macroeconomics and microeconomics. Macroeconomics deal with the things at the aggregate level, at the national level, such as national unemployment rate, national output, okay? And microeconomics deal as at the individual level. If we talk about a particular industry, food industry, restaurant industry, any industry, that will be categorized as a microeconomic study. And also the quiz, we have a few questions on the quiz, and we just copy those questions and put on this exam. Exactly the same question. So study those quiz questions, okay? All right, then there's few questions about of supply and demand in the marketplace. For example, shift of supply and shift of demand. What are the factors affect the supply shift? First factor. Price of input. Producers, if the cost of production increase, they're gonna decrease supply. So very first important factor, price of input. And for the demand, there is several factors that is very, very important. The first one is income. I'm gonna ask you here, how does income affect demand? Hope someone remember what the funny word I used that day when I talked about that. How the income affect the demand? Does it make demand go up or go down? It depends, right? Depends on what? Depends on what kind of good we're talking about. We have two different goods, normal goods and crap. Inferior goods. A good, remember I called crap?
Yeah.
The reason I use that word because I wanted to remember. If it's inferior good, when the income increases, demand is going to actually shift down. If it's inferior. But if it's normal good, when the income goes up, the demand goes up, shift to the right. So when we talk about demand and supply increase or decrease, remember this as a rule of thumb. No matter we talk about demand or supply, if it's increase, it's always shift to the right. And if it's decrease, it's always shift to the left. If it increases, it's always shift to the right. If it decreases, it's always shift to the left. Okay. And so the income is one factor. The second factor affecting demand are price of related goods. What are the different categories of related goods we have talked about? The related goods. Substitutes and complements, right? Okay, like Coke and Pepsi, they consider as substitute for some people. So if Coke's price changes, it's going to affect the demand on Pepsi. Okay, a computer and software designed for that computer they consider as complements. You have to consume both goods together. So when one good price goes up, and the demand for the other good is going to go down because you have to consume. So for example, I'm going to tell you, okay, if the price of the tea goes up, and I tell you the tea and coffee are substitutes, how the demand for coffee going to be affected?
You said the taste will go up.
The price of tea goes up. How the demand for coffee going to change? It's going to go up. That's right. Okay. And if it's going to go up, and you have to draw on the graph, and you should see how the equilibrium have changed. Okay. So you're going to see it in multiple choice question like that. Okay. Then we talk about price floor and price ceiling. Where is price floor located? Down or above the equilibrium? Down or above?
Price floor is gonna be above.
Price floor is going to go up. Price ceiling is going to be down. Exactly opposite to the word, right? And you have to know if the price ceiling is implemented, it's going to cause shortage and surplus. Price ceiling is implemented, it's going to cause.
So you said the price line is below the equilibrium and then
Below.
the
Price
above.
floor is going to go up. Yeah. So you have to know when the shortage or surplus created from those. If I give you the graph, to be able to tell me what is shortage, what is surplus. Now my exam is like this, not hard. Each individual question is not hard, but it covers everything in the class. So that's why I want you to take note because it's very important. Okay, another question, another thing I want to go over here is this. So basically going to have about 15 to 16, 15 multiple choice questions. Okay, so for the demand and the supply, let's just use demand. Okay, we know there are several factors affect the demand shift, right? Income, price of related good, taste and preferences, expectation stuff. But what are the things? What is the thing that will affect demand, quantity demanding from one point to another? If we move from one point to another point, A to B, what caused that? Price. When this kind of shift, this caused the price change. And if you have this from A to C, caused by something else.
Yeah.
Yes. And we call this is a change of demand. Change of demand. We call this a change in quantity demand. So which means when I say quantity demanded, this is a point. If I say a demand, this is a curve, a line. So from A to C is a change in demand. From A to B is a change in quantity demanded. The same thing applies to the supply. Okay? I'm going to go over one of those things and I'm done here. So we have talked about tax, the impact of tax on consumer surplus, producer surplus, and the market and social welfare. One thing we have not talked about is tariff, which is, you can say, just import fee. Okay, import fee. And we're going to see an example of that, very simple example. And that's use oil market. Okay, this represents United States oil market. This represents domestic demand. This represents the domestic supply. So this is United States oil market. Okay, we know the domestic oil market is influenced by what? By the world market, right? Okay, depends on the OPEC. How much supply how much oil they produce, how much oil they supply to the market. And if you say the oil price recently has been going up again, I'm afraid it's going to go up to the $3 again, because Saudis is changing their supply now. Okay, before they were, and they really boost up their supply. Now it's they're cutting down their supplies. Okay. So the U.S. oil market is really influenced by the world market, and it's really what's dominating price, the dominating price is the world oil market. Okay. So let's say the world oil market is right here. So world oil market price. Okay. What does this tell you? The U.S. suppliers, the U.S. market has to follow that price. What does this one tells you? If the U.S. oil market follows this world oil market price, what happening here?
You got a shortage.
You're going to have a lot of demand. The people really want to travel. They want to use oil, gas. But the U.S. oil producers, they are reluctant to produce and sell a lot because they're not going to make much money, right? So you're going to have this shortage. But how this shortage is going to be met? It's not a tricky question. The domestic oil producers do not produce enough for us to use. So we import oil from outside the United States. Okay, so this shortage will be met, will be supplied from outside U.S. market. But we've been talking about this. This been a big debate. Over a century. Not over a century, over last decades. United States want to be independent on oil. They don't want to rely on foreign oil, right? So if the government want to decrease this, because this represents the imported amount, if government want to be more independent, want to decrease this, what can they do? What we are talking about here? They said import fee, right? They said importing fee. Okay? When they said importing fee, that's going to raise the price of the oil domestically. Okay? So see what happened here. So when you impose an importing fee for the foreign oil to come into your country, and that raises the oil price. When the oil price is raised, then the producer, United States oil company, have more incentive to produce. They're going to produce more. So the shortage is going to be less. So we don't have to depend as much as before on the foreign oil. So that's the role importing fee plays in this particular market. And in most of the market, that's the importing fee plays. They encourage the domestic producer to produce more. So we don't have to rely on the foreign goods as much as. This is not really difficult, but I just want you to know about this because you may see this graph on one of the multiple choice questions. Okay. And I have covered almost every question on this exam. If you pay attention to be very clear, each thing I say is a question. Okay. All right, so we're going to have it on Friday, okay? And you can still ask me questions on Wednesday, okay? And again, watch the video, lecture video, come to my office hour, or email me, come to the tutor hall, okay? Because I can tell you the grade of midterm 1 is going to almost a good prediction of what grade you're going to get for this course. So really work hard on it, and you guys can do it. You did very well on quiz 1.